The hunters arrive. The massive Krillian warship Bloodhound drifted through the void like a sleeping giant, its dark hull scarred by countless battles across the galaxy. Commander Zextar stood on the bridge, his 6-foot frame covered in natural armor plates that gleamed under the ship's dim lighting. His yellow eyes focused on the holographic display showing a small blue planet orbiting a yellow star. "Report, Navigator Vexlan," Zextar commanded, his voice carrying the authority of someone who had led successful hunts across 47 worlds. The Navigator, a smaller Krillian with intricate tattoos marking his kills, checked his instruments. "Commander, the planet shows all signs of intelligent life. Radio transmissions, artificial light sources, and what appears to be primitive space travel. They call themselves humans." Zextar's mandibles clicked in amusement. The Krillian Empire had perfected the art of hunting intelligent species for over 1,000 years. Each conquest followed the same pattern: locate a promising world, study the inhabitants, then begin the great hunt. The strongest specimens would be preserved as trophies, while the rest would be eliminated for sport. "Any space defenses?" Zextar asked. "Minimal, sir. Small satellites and crude space stations. Their weapons appear to be chemical-based projectiles and primitive nuclear devices. They fight among themselves frequently, showing no unified command structure." Perfect hunting conditions, Zextar thought. Species that fought each other were always easier to defeat. They would be too busy with internal conflicts to mount an effective defense against superior predators. Far below, on Earth's surface, Captain Sarah Chen sat in a facility that officially didn't exist. Hidden beneath the Colorado Rocky Mountains, the Terran Defense Network had been operational for 12 years, ever since Dr. Marcus Webb first detected the alien signals. "Sarah, we've got movement," called Dr. Webb from his monitoring station. The elderly scientist had devoted his life to preparing for this moment. His gray hair was disheveled from countless sleepless nights, but his eyes remained sharp and focused. Chen walked over to Webb's console, her military training evident in every step. She had been handpicked for this assignment because of her ability to think like a predator. "Show me what we're dealing with." The main screen displayed the alien vessel, its size dwarfing anything humanity had ever built. But appearances could be deceiving. Earth's defenders had learned much from the refugees who had escaped other Krillian hunts. "They're following pattern 7, Webb observed. Long-range observation, tactical assessment, then gradual engagement, just like the Zephyrians warned us about." Chen nodded grimly. The Zephyrians had been the last species to face the Krillians before Earth. 3 survivors had made it to human space 5 years ago, carrying detailed intelligence about Krillian hunting methods. Their warnings had allowed humanity to prepare for this day. "Send the signal," Chen ordered. "Tell all stations that silent protocol is now active." Across the globe, hidden facilities received the coded message. In the Amazon rainforest, what appeared to be a simple research station began, powering up weapon systems that had been dormant for years. In the Sahara Desert, solar collection arrays revealed their true purpose as energy weapons. In the Antarctic ice, defensive networks that had been disguised as weather monitoring stations came online. Humanity had learned the most important lesson of survival. Sometimes the best defense was to appear defenseless. Aboard the Bloodhound, Zextar studied the tactical reports with growing satisfaction. The humans had responded to their presence exactly as predicted. Their military forces were mobilizing, but in the chaotic, uncoordinated manner typical of primitive species. "They're transmitting on multiple frequencies," reported Communications Officer Thraken. "It appears to be military coordination, but their encryption is laughably simple. They're trying to organize their scattered forces." "Excellent," Zextar replied. "Begin Phase 2. Deploy hunting parties to major population centers. Remember, we want to study their responses before we begin the actual hunt." 3 smaller vessels detached from the main ship, each carrying a dozen Krillian warriors. They would land in different locations, engage the local defenders, and report back on human combat capabilities. It was a game the Krillians had played countless times before. The first hunting party landed outside New York City, their ship settling into Central Park like a massive predator claiming its territory. Krillian warriors emerged, their armor gleaming in the afternoon sun. Each warrior stood over 7 feet tall with forearms and natural weapons that could tear through steel. War Chief Graktul led the group, his battle scars telling the story of hunts across the galaxy. He expected the humans to respond with fear and panic, just like every other species they had encountered. Instead, he found the park empty except for a single figure walking toward them. Lieutenant Colonel Maria Santos approached the aliens with steady, measured steps. She wore standard military fatigues and carried what appeared to be a simple assault rifle. Her calm demeanor puzzled the Krillian warriors, who were accustomed to terror-stricken prey. "Welcome to Earth," Santos said in perfect Krillian, her translator device hidden beneath her uniform. "We've been expecting you." Graktul's eyes widened in surprise. How did this primitive creature know their language? "You speak our tongue, human. Have you encountered our kind before?" Santos smiled, but there was no warmth in it. "Not your kind specifically, but we've met your victims. The Zephyrians send their regards." The mention of the Zephyrians sent a chill through the hunting party. Those weaklings had been eliminated decades ago. How could they have possibly reached this remote world? "Impossible," Graktul snarled. "The Zephyrians were destroyed. Their homeworld is a dead rock." "Their homeworld, yes," Santos agreed. "But 3 of their ships escaped. They found us, and they told us all about your hunting methods. They also told us about 46 other species you've destroyed." Graktul raised his primary weapon, a plasma cannon that could vaporize a human with a single shot. "Then you know what fate awaits your species. Surrender now, and your death will be quick." Santos didn't flinch. Instead, she spoke a single word into her communicator. "Activate." The ground beneath the Krillian warriors suddenly gave way, revealing a carefully constructed trap. Anti-gravity fields caught the falling aliens, suspending them in midair while energy nets materialized around them. The hunting party found themselves completely helpless, their weapons useless against the sophisticated technology that had been waiting for them. "You see," Santos explained as more human soldiers emerged from concealed positions, "we've had 5 years to prepare for this day, 5 years to study your tactics, your technology, and your weaknesses." Similar scenes played out around the globe. Krillian hunting parties found themselves facing enemies who knew their every move before they made it. The humans had turned the hunt into a trap, using the aliens' own confidence against them. In the Amazon, Dr. Elena Rodriguez watched as her research station revealed its true nature. The facility transformed into a military base, its walls retracting to reveal advanced weapon systems. The Krillian warriors who had expected to hunt primitive scientists instead found themselves facing technology that seemed to anticipate their every action. "It's working perfectly," Rodriguez reported to the command center. "They're following the Zephyrian intelligence reports exactly. Every tactical decision is exactly what we expected." The Krillians had made their greatest mistake. They had underestimated their prey. For centuries, they had been the apex predators of the galaxy, confident in their superiority. But humans had learned something that no other species had managed: patience. Back on the Bloodhound, Zextar received the reports from his hunting parties with growing alarm. Every team had been captured or neutralized. The humans weren't just fighting back, they were fighting smart. "Commander," Navigator Vexelan called urgently, "I'm detecting massive energy signatures across the planet's surface. These aren't primitive weapons." Zextar studied the sensor readings with growing horror. The humans had been hiding their true capabilities, making themselves appear weak and vulnerable. But the energy signatures showed technology that rivaled their own. "Impossible," he whispered. "No primitive species could develop such weapons." "Sir," Communications Officer Thrackan interrupted, "we're receiving a transmission from the planet's surface. It's in our language." The main screen flickered to life, showing the face of a human female. She appeared to be in her 50s with gray hair and kind eyes that held depths of steel. "Commander Zextar," the woman said, "I am Dr. Margaret Foster, Director of the Terran Defense Network. We need to talk." Zextar's mandibles clicked nervously. How do you know my name? We know many things, Commander. We know about your hunting methods, your ship's capabilities, and your empire's locations. We know because we've been preparing for this meeting for over a decade. The screen split, showing images of the captured hunting parties. Krillian warriors, the feared predators of the galaxy, sat in detention cells designed specifically for their species. Your warriors are unharmed, Foster continued, but they are our guests for now. We'd like to propose an alternative to the traditional hunt. Zextar felt something he hadn't experienced in centuries. Uncertainty. These humans were not behaving like prey. They were acting like predators who had been waiting for the right moment to strike. What do you want? He asked. Foster's smile was cold and calculating. We want you to deliver a message to your empire. Tell them that Earth is not a hunting ground. Tell them that humanity stands with the 47 species you've destroyed. And tell them that the age of the Krillian hunters is over. The transmission ended, leaving Zextar staring at a blank screen. For the first time in his life, the predator had become the prey. The trap springs. The tension aboard the Bloodhound was electric as Commander Zextar paced the bridge, his yellow eyes darting. Between the tactical displays and the communications console, 3 hours had passed since the humans had captured his hunting parties, and no species in galactic history had ever successfully countered a Krillian hunt. Sir, Navigator Vexilon reported, his voice tight with concern. Long-range sensors are detecting massive energy buildups across the planet's surface. Whatever they're hiding down there, it's bigger than anything we've encountered. Zextar's mandibles clicked rhythmically, a nervous habit he had developed over centuries of hunting. Open a channel to the Empire Command. We need reinforcements. Before Vexilon could comply, the ship's communications array crackled to life. The voice that emerged was calm, measured, and spoke perfect Krillian. Commander Zextar, this is Professor James Mitchell of the Terran Strategic Defense Initiative. We're prepared to discuss terms for the release of your hunting parties. Zextar straightened, his natural armor plates shifting with aggressive tension. Terms? You dare negotiate with the Krillian Empire? We dare do many things, Commander, Mitchell replied, including this. The main view screen activated, showing a human settlement on the planet's surface. It appeared to be a typical primitive village, exactly the kind of target Krillian hunters preferred. But as Zextar watched, the buildings began to transform. What had looked like simple wooden structures revealed themselves to be sophisticated camouflage. Walls retracted, revealing advanced weapon systems. The ground itself opened up, exposing underground facilities that stretched for miles. The primitive village was actually a military installation more advanced than anything in the Krillian fleet. Impossible, Zextar breathed. Your species barely discovered fire a few thousand years ago. That's what we wanted you to think, Mitchell said. You see, Commander, we've had teachers. Good teachers who survived your previous hunts. The screen changed to show the interior of a vast underground complex. Humans worked alongside beings that Zextar recognized with growing horror. Zephyrians, Altarians, Centaurians, species that the Krillians had supposedly wiped out decades ago. Elder Thakmor, the oldest Krillian aboard the Bloodhound, stepped forward. His ancient armor was covered in kill markings from over 800 years of hunting. Those species are extinct. I led the hunts myself. You led hunts against their homeworlds, Mitchell corrected. But survivors escaped, ships full of refugees carrying their knowledge, their technology, and their burning desire for revenge. They found Earth, and they found humans willing to listen. The display showed construction projects that had been ongoing for decades. Massive underground cities, weapons manufacturing facilities, and defensive networks that spanned continents. All of it hidden beneath the facade of a primitive civilization. The Altarians taught us energy manipulation, Mitchell continued. The Centaurians shared their knowledge of defensive systems. The Zephyrians provided detailed intelligence about your hunting methods. And humans? We contributed something you've never encountered before. Patience. Zextar's confidence began to crumble as he realized the scope of the deception. The Krillians had been studying what they thought was a primitive world, but they had actually been walking into a trap 40 years in the making. "You're bluffing," Elder Thakmor growled. "Even with alien technology, you cannot match the might of the Krillian Empire." "Perhaps not," Mitchell admitted. "But we don't need to match your might. We just need to understand your weaknesses." The screen split into multiple views, showing Krillian ships throughout the galaxy. But these weren't current images. They were archived footage from previous hunts, detailed tactical analyses, and behavioral studies. "For 40 years we've been watching you," Mitchell explained. "Every hunt, every battle, every tactical decision. We know your patterns, your strategies, your limitations. You're predictable, Commander. Fatally predictable." Lieutenant Colonel Maria Santos appeared on the screen, standing in the same central park where she had captured the first hunting party. Behind her, Krillian warriors sat in crystalline cells that seemed to adapt to their every movement. "Your warriors are experiencing our hospitality," Santos reported. "The cells are Altarian design, modified with Centaurian technology. They're quite comfortable, I'm told, but absolutely escape-proof." Zextar felt something he hadn't experienced in centuries: fear. Not just for himself, but for the implications of what these humans represented. If they could successfully counter Krillian hunting tactics, they could potentially threaten the Empire itself. "What do you want?" he asked, his voice lacking its usual authority. "Justice," came a new voice. The screen showed a Zephyrian survivor, his blue-scaled skin marked with the ritual scars of his lost people. "I am Kethvar, last of the Zephyrian High Council. I have waited 30 years for this moment." Kethvar gestured to the vast complex around him. "Your empire destroyed my homeworld, Commander. You hunted my people for sport, but you made one critical error. You left witnesses." The display showed the construction of what appeared to be a massive space station, hidden on the far side of Earth's moon. Human and alien workers labored together, their combined knowledge creating something unprecedented in galactic history. "The survivors of your hunts didn't just teach us about defense," Kethvar continued. "They taught us about offense, about taking the fight to the hunters." Dr. Marcus Webb appeared on the screen from his monitoring station. "Commander, you're about to witness something unique in galactic history. For the first time, a Krillian hunting fleet is going to become the hunted." The space around Earth suddenly came alive with activity. What had appeared to be asteroids revealed themselves as camouflaged ships. Satellites that had seemed primitive activated advanced weapons systems. The entire solar system transformed into a massive defensive network. 47 species, Webb said quietly. "That's how many civilizations your empire has destroyed. Today they get their vengeance." Zextar watched in growing horror as his ship's sensors detected more than 200 hostile vessels surrounding them. Ships built with the combined knowledge of multiple species, armed with weapons designed specifically to counter Krillian technology. "Surrender now," Mitchell commanded, "and your crew will be treated according to the Geneva Convention. Resist, and you'll discover what 47 species have learned about warfare when they're fighting for their survival." Elder Thakmor snarled, reaching for his weapon. "The Krillian Empire does not surrender to prey." "Then you'll die like the predator you are," Santos replied calmly. The battle was over before it truly began. Krillian shields designed to deflect energy weapons proved useless against kinetic projectiles fired at relativistic speeds. Their armor, perfected over centuries of hunting, couldn't withstand weapons designed by species who had studied their weaknesses for decades. The Bloodhound found itself disabled within minutes, its weapons systems fried by electromagnetic pulses, and its engines crippled by precision strikes that avoided the crew quarters. "Impossible," Zextar whispered as his ship drifted helplessly in space. "No, Commander," Mitchell replied. "Inevitable. You see, there's something about humans that your empire never understood. We're not just another species to hunt. We're adapters. We learn, we prepare, and we never forget." Boarding parties of humans and aliens secured the Krillian ship. The feared hunters of the galaxy found themselves prisoners, their roles reversed in a cosmic irony that would be remembered for generations. As Zextar was led to a detention cell, he found himself face to face with Kethvar. The Zephyrian survivor looked at his former hunter with eyes that held decades of patient planning. "You wanted to know what prey thinks about while being hunted?" Kethvar said quietly. "We think about survival, we think about revenge, and we think about the day when the hunters become the hunted." Professor Mitchell's voice echoed through the ship's communication system. "This is a message to the Krillian Empire. Your age of hunting is over. Earth stands as the protector of all species who have suffered under your rule. Any further aggression will be met with the combined might of 47 civilizations united in purpose." The screen in Zexatar's cell showed Earth one final time, but now he could see it for what it truly was. Not a primitive world ripe for hunting, but a fortress built by the combined knowledge of every species the Krillians had ever wronged. The blue planet wasn't just humanity's home. It was a declaration of war against every empire that saw other species as prey. And at its heart were humans, the species that had learned the most dangerous lesson in the galaxy, that sometimes the greatest predators were those who had once been prey. As the Krillian Empire received the message that their hunting fleet had been captured, they began to understand that they had awakened something far more dangerous than another species to conquer. They had awakened the fury of the hunted, organized and led by a species that refused to be anyone's prey. The age of the hunters was over. The age of the protectors had begun. And Earth, the small blue planet that had once seemed so defenseless, now stood as the beacon of hope for every species that refused to bow to predators. The galaxy would never be the same.